Okay, we're live. I gotta find the chat, guys.
Hey, everyone.
Good morning. Oh, I was watching a reaction video. Zachary somebody this morning. Pretty good.
Pizza Hut commercial. That's what I have coming up on mine.
Okay.
There we
Here.
go.
Oh my goodness. Here is Just Crystal, Jane, Alex, Just Ellie, Lovable Rogue, Bailey, Southern Mom, Carla Marie, Charlie Girl, Shook. Good morning, everybody, and Valerie. Good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
So
How is everyone?
Okay, so this morning we got Paul from Reporting Live from my sofa. We got Katie from True Crime Truth Finders. Katie, is it True Crime Truth Finder or Finders? Can you hear me?
Ers with an S. It's for the hubby too.
Oh, okay. Okay, I thought it was.
Yes, he's the other part of my channel. Just he's the one that has to do all the work. So no.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Yeah, I'm not a techie person or anything like that, so I can't. If something breaks down like that, I'm like, help! I don't know what to do.
He's good at that.
I'm scared.
I can barely operate Google Hangouts, and Google Hangouts on air is going away this year, so I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how to operate Zoom. I don't know how to do Zoom to make it stream through YouTube.
I don't even know.
You have to use an open broadcasting software like Streamlabs or OBS or something like that.
That's shivers down my spine. Shivers down my spine. I'm just like, oh my gosh, you've got yours. You know how to do yours. You could sit there and do a little YouTube, Katie, just on telling us how to operate that, and probably just do that right there, and people would just flock to it. I think it's completely tricky. I'm just like, but I have no patience for that kind of stuff either, so I get really frustrated like instantaneously when I try and do this stuff like that. So I'm not really good to sit there and play around with it or whatever. But I need to go back and watch your video again that you did, because that was awesome. And but I get scared to mess with it because I get so frustrated, and I'm like, I don't want to be angry right now, so I'm not going to learn something new.
Yeah, hey, you never know, someone might like you angry.
What, Katie?
I said, you never know, someone might actually like you angry.
Hey, you know what? There you go. It could be a new, it could be a whole new thing. But yeah, I don't know what we'll do in Hangouts, because Hangouts, once I figured that out, I was like, okay, this is, and I feel like I just figured it out. You know what I mean? Where I'm like kind of confident with it to be like, oh, well, you go in here and you do this and you do that. And now I'm like, you're taking that away. I don't know what I'll do. Hold on, I'm gonna grab my coffee. I'll be right back.
So I'm checking out what the New York Post just put out. Jennifer Dulos' lawyer wants estranged husband held in contempt.
Good.
What?
Yeah,
for violating a court order. The order sealed a custody and psychological evaluation performed on the Dulos family as part of the couple's divorce proceedings. They also want the guardian that's representing the Dulos children. They want him booted from the case. I think his name is Meehan. Released the evaluation because they're claiming that the kid's guardian, Meehan, that's his last name, released the evaluation to POTUS and his lawyers. See, I haven't had time to really look at anything this morning because we were doing this so early and I had to put myself together a little bit. It says, as the court is well aware of this matter that has received significant public notoriety, Meehan wrote in his motion, based upon information and belief, there are quoted statements by attorney Pattis about the report, which have, I cannot pronounce that word, disseminated or published in written electronic form via the media, which is true or indirect violation of this court's May 9th, 2019 order. See, when I read stuff like that, that is a little bit confusing for me. So what y'all get from that?
I mean,
I only
same
heard
here.
part of
I mean, one thing. You only heard part of it? I've got the article pulled up too. I want to kind of arguments for different.
Well, yeah.
I mean, one question that I have overall for the whole situation about the child custody, the divorce, and all that is what I mean, in this situation, like, is he trying to get the kids back? Because I'm just like, okay, obviously he has these charges against him saying that, it's, he's involved somehow in the disappearance. So at that point, like, how does the divorce proceed? How does child custody proceed? Because obviously her family's trying to get the children, on her side or whatever. And I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just like, I feel so sorry for these children on so many levels. Obviously, their mother, is the main thing. But then having to be, I hope the children are being insulated from all of this legal stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because it just seems so unfortunate that they are going through all this. But I mean, I don't know if I would feel comfortable with him having the kids right now until we know for sure, definitively that he's either cleared or not.
Yeah. Norm Pattis did say the other day that Bodas does plan on getting visitation with his children and custody of the children back. He's going to fight. And I said that too. If he is capable of hurting Jennifer, then he's capable of anything, and the children aren't safe around him.
For sure. Didn't he petition something with the child custody yesterday or the day before?
I think he did. Oh, no, wait. I don't know about the child custody, but he did want to see his gal pal.
It was right after that, because I remember commenting on your live, I think it was yesterday, and I'm like, oh, that's convenient.
Okay.
You think he'd be trying to get his kids back or, fighting for his kids. And then I heard something shortly after that he either had already filed to petition something for his kids or he was going to petition, or his attorney was or whatever. So I don't know if that actually happened or not. But
that's really interesting. I mean, I think one thing going on with that too is I think that his attorney is very much sitting here structuring a public image right now. You know what I mean? Being like, okay, you need to go out and go jogging. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to act totally normal. Because I've been getting comments from people that live around there on the videos and stuff. And they're just like, oh, I see him. And another thing that I think is interesting real quick, I'm sorry to jump around because I've never been up to that. I've never been there before, anywhere, past DC is as far north as I've gone. And so I have no concept of what that area is like. And everybody keeps telling me, they're like, no, the place where they went to, if, allegedly went to do the dumping of the garbage and stuff, it's like a really bad part of town. Like you just don't happen to go there. And multiple people have told me that. So I think it just is kind of interesting because it adds context to the name. But also the whole thing about, filing the petition to get his kids back. I mean, he might know that's not going to happen right now, but publicly it looks good.
Sure.
Because, you know what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I only read that Pattis said that he planned to file to get his kids back. I didn't know if he had already done that or not. I only knew about him wanting to see his gal pal and wanting the judge to clarify, the terms of his bond while he's out on bond.
And did you see the part where it was like what his attorney put in there? It was something to the effect of, he was like, he wants to be able to see her, to thank her personally. Or it was something so cheesy and stupid. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, I was like, they don't have anything else to talk about, you think? I was like, come on. Like, this judge is not. Because, I mean, to me, I'm just like, if they have a chance to legally get together, like the court say they can, I mean, they can start completely spinning whatever they want to if they need to spin a story. You know what I'm saying? Right.
I think Jane is unblocked, guys. She accidentally got blocked. So what are y'all's thoughts on the Gone Girl theory?
I mean, so I'm very curious to hear all sides of that because I've, like you and I were talking, CC, and then I've seen people in my comment section bringing up the Gone Girl theory too. And so I'm always open to anything, and I think it's interesting to hear. So this is what I can't get past, and if either Katie or CC or people in the room, if y'all have, if you know more about this part, so I can't get past this with the Gone Girl theory. How much blood was found in the house, and was it completely confirmed that it was hers? You know what I'm saying? Because I can't get past that aspect of, well, if there's so much of her blood in the house that it's like nobody would survive that. Then that's my first stumbling block. And then after that, it's the whole, I mean, I can see where there might be motivation to be like, oh, I can disappear. But to me, she had all the power. Her family had all the money. They could pretty much just keep this going until he, you know what I mean? Like, to me, it's like if it kept going for a while, she was probably going to get some form of majority custody, if that makes sense. So what do y'all think?
I can't get past Fotis's DNA mixed in with hers on the kitchen sink. And plus, I know it's not been proven 100% that was them on surveillance footage, but it was tags that they put down in the storm drain Fotis did. They were registered to him. I can't get past that. Now, I have a viewer, Miss Jacqueline. Miss Jacqueline thinks that Fotis is innocent. And I think she's majoring in psychology, and she's actually going to come on here when she gets time and give us her thoughts, opinions, and views. I don't see what's making her believe that Fotis is innocent, but everybody's got their own opinion, you know. And I'm interested to hear what she's got to say, since she is majoring in psychology and stuff, and she's been doing a lot of research on this case, from what I understand.
That'll be super interesting. I know, like, so as far as Gone Girl, I'm not a blood expert by any means or anything, but I have picked up some things here and there. And so it's kind of like when you dump over a cup of water or whatever, you know, it doesn't seem like there's that much fluid in there, but when it splatters all over the place, it looks like there's a lot more. Well, there is some sort of testing that they can do. It's like velocity. They look at the amount of blood that's there, and then they determine based on, you know, if it's a kid, it's going to be different than if it's a full-grown human. They try to do, there's some sort of, I don't know, there's some sort of like equation or something. There's some sort of something that they use as a basis to say, okay, this would either be something that would be minor and it wouldn't be life-threatening, or they're likely not alive after this. Now, people have said, okay, well, if she was planning this, she could have collected her own blood over time. She could have put that blood out. I know one of you asked if it was her blood. That we don't know either. It hasn't been said that I have heard. I would assume, you know, you have to be a little bit smarter than the average person to get away with something like this. So if she really planned to do that, she would have had to have looked into it a little bit more, I think. But honestly, the thing that gets me is her kids. Like, it'd be one thing if she just wanted to leave her husband. It would be a completely different scenario if it was just this piece of crap who's like, hey, let me move in my girlfriend, you know, and maybe his family had the money and not hers. But in this instance, kind of like Paul said, she had the upper hand. There's no reason for her to disappear. Literally none. I mean, even we all have our skeletons in our closet, but it's not going to make me run away from my kid and my husband and my, you know, my zoo I have here. So it just isn't, I don't think she's going to leave her kids. So, and for her to be gone that long and not have any contact with her kids, it's not possible to me. I mean, that's my thinking on it.
Katie, I thought that the blood, you know, they found like bloody sponges in some of Jennifer's clothing that he discarded in the trash cans. I thought that they said that was Jennifer's blood, and I also thought they said that was her blood in the garage, but maybe I'm wrong.
I might have just missed that. It's very possible. I know that they did say that there was his DNA mixed with her blood or mixed with blood in the sink, and that was something that I couldn't get past either. But I mean, if she was really, really smart, which it sounds like she was very intelligent, but if she was trying to plan this, I mean, that's something that you could do. You can legitimately set up someone. If you think about it, you know, I used to cut hair when you know, people used to joke all the time, like, yeah, I'm going to cut off this little lock of hair and I'm going to hide this when I do something stupid. I can put your hair here, you know, and like walk away. And it's the same thing. You know, if you work in the healthcare field, or if you have access to different items of things, you might learn a little bit different. Like, I know for a fact, if you use bleach to clean up blood, your ass is grass. It's not going away. You are going to get in so much trouble by luminol. It's not funny. You actually have to use a combination of, I can't even remember what it is. I think it's like vinegar and something. I don't know, it's stupid. It's what a lot of hospitals actually you do not use bleach on blood because it leaves a residue. And so there's so many things that you can look at from each aspect of these things. And if she really wanted to make him look like he did something to her, I mean, how often does she see him passing off the kids, and what DNA of his was in that sink? And also they could, you know, the defense, it sounds like they're going to throw out anything and everything they can to see what sticks. And they can also talk about touch DNA. They can say, hey, well, you know, she had multiple kids with Fotis, and the kids were with Fotis, and they touched him, and they got his DNA on them. So then when they went home and they got into the sink and they were doing this and they were doing that, that's how it was mixed up. There's a lot of, even though it seems like it's so definitive, there's still a lot of these things that the defense is going to have a field day with, and it sucks. I hope they get shot down every time. But that's what they're going to do. Every single thing that they can, they're going to try and throw it up and say, no, this is why this isn't possible. And even though it looks so definitive, they're going to try and make it look out, you know, look another way.
You bring up some really interesting points there, Katie, so I want to touch on something that you just said about the kids, because I didn't even say that, and I completely agree. So obviously so many people that I'm talking about that don't have kids are like, I can't get past the fact that she would leave these children. And I'm just like, okay, like, even if we went down the road of like, she's going to be willing to leave the children, I would have to see some evidence of, like, remember the case of Susan Smith who drowned her kids, and there was like that she wanted to get with the boyfriend who didn't want kids, and there would have to be some evidence of, wait a minute, she was wanting to walk away from her whole life for whatever reason, but it's just not there. You know what I mean? Like, absolutely. None of that is present. And so that's where I'm like, yeah, we haven't found any skeletons, like you were saying, in her closet that lead me to say, oh, wait, she didn't want those kids either. And if that was the case, that's what I'm thinking of. Now, another thing that you said is really interesting, Katie, is the blood aspect. And like, so say that this was like a level where she completely was planning this. Now, I don't know how any of this works, but you know how, like, if you go give blood or something like that, like she could have had somebody, you know, say, take that amount of blood out for a couple of times and then splatter it everywhere or whatever. Now that absolutely would be so much planning on her part that I'm like, really, that's getting really complicated. I mean, that would be like blockbuster summer movie type stuff right there.
Oh yeah.
And so, but all those things adding up, that's where I think that this is what's taking place. I think whatever happened, and I'll use allegedly with, you know, Fotis and Michelle or whatever, I think that, you know how some cases the cookie just happens to crumble in such a way that when you go down to the evidence, you can't 100% say one way or the other. And, or they can get a lawyer that throws so much stuff at the wall, it kind of confuses people and they say, well, maybe. So just like with this video evidence, I haven't seen the video, anything like that. I don't know if they've even released that, but it sounds to me like there's a technicality of, well, technically this could be anybody. And that's where it's getting confusing for, you know what I mean? To be like, oh, hands down, it was the husband or Michelle or whatever. And so I think that this is one of those cases that's turning into, this lawyer is going to look to sneak through the cracks and crannies and all this stuff of it to be like, well, technically you can't see their faces on there, or technically this or whatever. And then somebody, I just feel like someone knows something and they're not speaking. And in time, whether it's short-term, long-term, that information will come out, or there'll be some kind of bombshell thing. Because I do think it's interesting that there's literally just no signs of her body. I mean, that's where I'm just like, what happened to her body? You know, or was there some kind of a fight and she's still alive but being held captive somewhere?
Yeah, I think that would be hard just because she's, to hold a grown woman captive away from her kids, come hell or high water, you're not, I would rather be gone myself than like, and be dead than have my kid like not be able to get to him. If that, you know what I mean? So like if I was put away somewhere in, there was that lady who watched her boyfriend get killed and then she was put in that storage unit or whatever, like that storage container. I mean, it happens, but it was someone who, it wasn't her significant other or whatever, you know, and it's absolutely possible for someone to take the blood, like you said, and you do the, people get blood transfusions all the time. People donate blood. If she knew somebody, it's possible, but it's my understanding, again, I'm no blood expert by any means, but it's my understanding it's kind of difficult, even though it doesn't seem like it is, it's kind of difficult to keep blood in the state that it's supposed to be in, and to keep it so that it's like actually blood and so that it has her DNA there's a word that's coming. I just can't get it off the top of my mind, but it's basically like to keep it in the form that she needed it and to be able to use it for what she wanted to be able to use it for, she would have to keep it. So if she would have been doing this over time, you can only get so much blood taken from you and withdrawn from you every so often. So it would have had to have been periodically, whether it was weeks or months or whatever. And to store blood and then use it later, I feel like there would have been some sort of evidence, because even in a small cup, there would, I mean, blood is hard to get rid of. Like, I had 2 dogs get into it the other day. There was blood all over my wall, all over my everything, you know, and it was just a little bit. So it flies, and it's dark, it's red, you know, and I don't know. I just, it's a good theory. They're going to try. They're really going to try. I don't know if you guys ever watched, it's not on anymore, but Scandal with Olivia Pope, and she was the attorney. Yeah. They're fixers. They save face. Like, I have a freaking amazing attorney for my medical malpractice lawsuit that I'm in. He's fantastic. And he is a fixer too. Like, I get emails from him almost every day, and he's like, this jackwagon from the court, this blah, blah, blah. Like, they literally do everything that they can, and they throw everything so they can see if it sticks. Because even if only 25% of what they threw out there stuck, at least some of it stuck. So they're gonna do anything and everything that they can to make Jennifer look like crap, which sucks. But they're gonna try and save Fotis's face. They're gonna try and make him look like he didn't do anything, and like all they have to do is have a little bit of reasonable doubt, and that they're laying the groundwork for that reasonable doubt already. And it sucks, man. It's gonna be so crappy, because even if we don't know he did it, you know, I kind of have that hunch, and I feel that he did it, and this may be one of those cases where he gets away.
Yeah, that's what my gut says. He did it, that he was involved. The girlfriend knows something, or it helped, or I don't know with her situation. I mean, I think that she knows more than she's saying. But my gut says, you know, that he had something. I mean, he did something. And I agree with you. They're completely laying that ground for that reasonable doubt. And they're working that up or whatever, having him go about life looking normal, like he's not guilty, this, that, or the other. Pardon me. And then, you know, we'll just have to see, because it makes me nervous too. I would hate for the fact that she kind of was able to see, because my whole thing too is it's documented and through legal proceedings, and I get they were going back and forth to each other, whatever, but there just seems to be a certain theme where he seemed to be a control freak. He seemed to not really have much respect for her. And he also seemed to be like, you know, lean towards violence of things, where she was talking about his revenge ideas that he said and things of this nature. So I feel like, my God, she was seeing her future. She was calling this out through legal proceedings, what was going to happen. And then it happened. And now he could potentially get away with it. It just runs all over me.
It's a scary world.
I mean, it really is, because it's just like, you know, I don't know if y'all followed any of the stuff I've been doing in that Brent Christensen trial, but you know, he found guilty or whatever. But what reminds me of it is how cocky and condescending he was about it, knowing exactly what he did and just seeing how much he lied and stuff. And like, you know, to his girlfriend and people like that. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, he got caught and sentenced, you know, not sentenced yet. He was found guilty, but so I'm like, no, these people would do horrible things and they'll completely lie their way out of it as best they can. He doesn't want to go to jail for the rest of his life. You know what I'm saying? Sure.
Well, you know what? One good thing is that they weren't officially divorced, because now Fotis can't marry the gal pal and have her not say anything because they're spouses. So possibly they could be turned against each other, even if they're, you know, all okay right now. But say if they grant the order to let them see each other, I would not be surprised if it is
I'm surprised if they're trying to play one another against each other.
All right, hold on.
They come out and they make it sound like
Is that mine?
Sorry, my phone is, I don't know what is going on right now.
Okay,
There we go.
I gotta go get coffee.
That would be trying to play each other off of each other so that they can nail Fotis, because that would be one of their only opportunities to do so, is to get her to talk.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very nervous for the fact if they're able to meet up with each other, because again, the court order or whatever, the motion filed sounded just so cheesy, so ridiculous. And, you know, I'm just like, really, I'm very curious to see how this judges. Now, excuse me. Another thing real quick that I just think is interesting. So Fotis Dulos crossed state lines into New York, and apparently he was like out driving and there was an accident and the GPS diverted him. And I'm going to hope that this doesn't make a noise here. One thing I'm curious about to see what happens is when he goes back to court, because that's something that they could use against him. You know what I'm saying? To be like, we don't know what you did, but you've technically, you know, violated your terms, so we're revoking your bond. And that would be very telling to me. So I'm trying to find exactly what it says. Apparently, while traveling in Western Connecticut, Mr. Dulos inadvertently crossed state lines on a country road. The court was informed. No one seems too concerned about it. Unfortunately, roads twist and turn, sometimes crossing state lines. Now, that was the statement issued by his attorney. And, you know, so, and no, Tuesday, Fotis filed paperwork with the court saying he intends to seek custody of their 5 children.
You know what, I almost wonder, though, if his defense attorney said, because, again, they're fixers. They're trying to make this public perception whatever they want it to be. I almost wonder if they jumped to make a statement so that it was their word versus whoever's. And if they say, oh, no one else seems to think it's a big deal, they're getting everybody to think it's not a big deal, even though we don't know what those other people think. It may really be a big deal. They may be using it in their back pocket to screw them over later, you know? I don't.
Yeah.
That's kind of telling, too.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think he will get custody of the kids back. You want to know why I don't think he will? Right now. Because this is similar to the Susan Powell. Mother goes missing, then they give, you know, him visitation with the kids unsupervised, and he kills them. Maybe they'll be afraid, you know, that will happen. So hopefully.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. I'll let y'all finish talking. I just wanted to throw that in.
Oh, no, you're good. I totally forgot about that. That is like a perfect example, because that's, I mean, there's just more kids involved at this point, and there's only so much that, you know, Child Protective Services and the courts can do, but they also learn from past experiences, and this has been brought to the forefront over the last few months, the Susan Powell thing. I watched that special or whatever, and I think there's people that are more aware that this can happen now, and I think there's more people that ask questions, so I would hope that that doesn't happen. I would assume his defense attorney is going to try really, really hard to get those kids back, but I don't see why, other than to make himself look good. So,
yeah.
Do y'all ever feel like, you know, all this evidence that we've read about is a little bit too convenient? You know, like everything points to him. You know what I'm saying? What if he really didn't do anything to her?
Well, that's why I start to think about maybe she did plan it. That would be one of my only ways. But the kids get.
You know what Jacqueline said? Jacqueline said that it was unrealistic to make, you know, that many stops, 30 stops. She said, think about it.
I guess it would depend. I mean, if somebody made the 30 stops, if they have the exact same vehicle on all of those surveillance cameras, dropping off something or inspecting something, there was somebody at some point making all of those stops, whether it was him or her or somebody completely different. But like you said, there was his paper tag down one of those drains. So how does that's awfully convenient if it's not them. Like, how did that end up there? I don't believe in coincidences really, and that's too coincidental for me. That would, now if it was somebody else's tag, then he could be like, look, see, this isn't even me, like at all. But how do you say that's not you?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
I think they'll try to say where that construction guy had borrowed Fotis's vehicle that day. They kind of switched vehicles, I guess. I thought they may try to spin it on him. Go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I mean, like Katie said, I sit here and I entertain that thought too about, you know, it's too convenient, and I go down that rabbit hole. And I mean, I just don't know. I just feel like you have the kids, the blood, all the stuff. And then I too was like, they got the worker. They're going to totally spin it around on him, but they've already cleared that. And so now this is kind of side note right here that I just thought of, and I'm going to say it because I'll forget it, because that's the point in life that I'm at right now. I can't remember things from minute to minute. So one thing that I thought was interesting with the alibi for Michelle is that all of it was not, and correct me if I'm wrong here, y'all, because I'm kind of saying this to see if I'm correct. The alibi was all like, oh, she had to return a purse to a friend's house, and then from there she went to this friend's house. So there was nothing like a GPS or video camera or anything other than a friend saying she was here to account for her alibi, which to me, I was like, that's real convenient that there's no legitimate way to say, yep, hands down, we have her gas receipts, something during the time that all this took place. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, it is a little too convenient. I mean, she could have got the friend to lie for her, probably promised her some money, gave her some money for why.
sure.
I mean, everything else is on video. Even in my small town, if I go to the Family Dollar store, I'm going to be on video.
And it
somewhere.
probably is, to be honest. They're probably trying to retrace her steps to prove something. But I think a lot of this and what they issue out to the public is just so that we hear their side of the story. We still don't know what, you know, the prosecution is saying, and they're going to defend every single point that they say, well, this wasn't her, and she was with her friend. Well, that might be an alibi to her, but that's not necessarily an alibi to the jury or an alibi to the judge or an alibi to anybody else. It might be in her mind, and it might be, you know, to her attorney, but that doesn't necessarily mean jack. I mean, now, if they could prove it, like you said, a gas receipt, a camera, you can't go, there's no way I could even walk a quarter of a mile down my street without being seen on at least 10 cameras. It's not going to happen. So if they can't prove that, then that alibi is not going to stand up in court. It just won't. So she may be nailing her own, you know, coffin, per, you know, so to speak, because she's just, you can't do that. People think they can make up alibis, and they think that they can use each other against each other. Like, oh, well, I was with my friend, or I was with someone who's going to, you know, who will say whatever. But when it comes down to it, and if they have to go in front of a jury and they have to tell their story and testify, they have to be sworn into court, and that could change everything. Someone could completely fall apart. Her friend could just start bawling on the stand and be like, I lied, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know how that's going to work, and her alibi could fall apart before her very eyes.
That's an excellent point there, because and I completely agree. I feel like a lot of what we're pardon me, a lot of what we're seeing, especially when you get an attorney like this who is, like you said, a fixer. I mean, that's a perfect analogy of that show Scandal, and I think exactly it was what's going on here. He is out there spinning a story, and that's why he is the kind of lawyer that he is, or whatever. And so he's making he's spinning a public story. And just like you said, when it, you know, push comes to shove, you know, when it comes down to, okay, they might have given her friends, you know, some money or whatever, because I was thinking that too. I was like, her family's got the money to sit here and pad people's pockets to be like, yeah, she was hanging out with you that day. But if they're getting up on the stand and being faced with, you could go to jail if we figure this out, or, you know, things can change a whole bunch.
It's not a pleasant, it's not a pleasant experience to be in court. Like, I had to give a victim statement when, so totally off topic, but I was sexually abused by my dad's dad when I was a kid. And from the time I was like 6 to 13 or something. And I knew I was going to have to go to court. I knew. So I kind of put myself in her kid's shoes. I was this, you know, when I finally went to court and I finally did everything and I put my own family in jail, I was 16. And I think, you know, how would it be to be in their shoes and go to court and to do all this and to also be one of those witnesses? And when I went in there to read my victim statement, it was right before sentencing or whatever, I was shaking. I had all of my family around me, and I didn't cry, but everybody said that I just talked so fast. And it's not like I was ready. I had written this darn thing out. I had pages. I had rehearsed. I was ready. I walk in, and it is a totally different story. And I was not on trial. I was simply, he pleaded guilty. He tried to plead insanity. It didn't work. So he's like, crap, I don't want to get in trouble for a really long time. He got 16 years, but it was 4 counts of 4 years, or 4 sentences of 4 years. And he was able to serve them concurrently because he, said he was guilty or whatever. And so he only got technically 4 years, and everybody thought he'd die in prison, but he didn't. And so I think about all these things, and when you get into that situation where even though you may be 100% ready, when you step into that arena, it is a whole different ballgame. And if one person is lying, all it takes is one little lie of their alibi to fall apart, or someone who was trying to help them. I mean, it's different. It's so different. And even when you're not the one in trouble and you're the one that's trying to make a difference, and you go in there like, I'm going to get this jerk locked up. Yes, it's different. You go in there. I mean, it's just, again, I was 16. I was half my age now, you know, but it's something that you think you're prepared for, but you're really never prepared for. So any of these people, especially unless they're like a habitual, you know, testifier or something, which doesn't freaking happen, because then they're not credible. But unless they're used to this and they do this all the time, hi, buddy, then they're not going, I mean, it's going to scare them. And you would have to be a really crappy person and a really, like, you can't really have a heart if you go in there and, I mean, there are people that do it. There are people that are psychotic. It happens. But it's not likely to continue. Like, their story's going to crumble at some point if they're lying most of the time. So I'll be curious to see what the heck happens. I don't know.
I think that's really brave of you to have done that, what you just described. I'm sorry you went through that. And I mean, that sounds so, I think you're 100% right. And listening to your experience, yeah, that's very brave that you did that. I think
thank
you have the courage to go there and do that, because that's scary, especially when it's like with family, and especially something traumatic like what you went through. So that's awesome. Yeah. And I think that I think you're 100% right. It's one thing to sit here and do all that, but the courtroom is completely different. It is a totally different feeling. And I hate you went through that. That's awful.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, it's given me kind of an aspect to say, hey, you know, I don't ever want anyone to be like, oh, I feel so bad for you or whatever, because that's, you know, I know I'm here for a reason. I know I went through it for a reason, but at the same time, it also kind of gives me a different perspective on things, and I can look at things a little bit different from that, you know, that different angle, because not your everyday person has been through something like that. And, you know, I had to go face my freaking blood in court and say, you suck, you're going to jail, you did this to me. And my other family, like my aunts, it had happened to them. They're older than my dad. They're in their 50s, 60s. They never said anything. All they did was protect their family. So, like, I was, I think, 15 or 16 when I, you know, told my family what had happened at the time, and it came out that I wasn't the only one. It had happened to multiple people, and there were people that could have protected me, but they didn't. So now I feel the duty to do it myself. Like, even if it's not my own family or friends, I feel that people need to be aware that even people that you trust aren't people that you should trust all the time.
Yeah, it's true.
Absolutely. I went through it, but I never faced my abuser in court. I don't think that I could. You're a lot braver than me, Katie. You really are.
I think you could, girl. You do what you have to do when you're put in that situation. He's dead, and when he died, I went through a whole different kind of grieving process. It happened like 7 years ago or so, because, you know, here's my grandfather. What do you, but yeah. It was more like, I know I'm never going to get a sorry. I know I'm never going to get an explanation, but I never thought I was going to get that anyway. You know, I knew I was never going to get, but all hope was gone at that point. I knew I would never get anything at that point. And I was grieving the loss that I would never get an I'm sorry, or I would never get an explanation. And after I went through that, I took a few days of bereavement off of work. I kind of, you know, got myself together, and I went back to work, and I was a whole new person. It was almost like, I don't know, it was like an aha moment for me. You know, I was afraid that he was going to come and kill me. I was afraid that since I put him in prison, or, you know, family members, they were going to come after me. And it might not have been a legitimate fear, but it was a fear of mine. And when he died, I knew he could no longer come after me. So, you know, it was kind of a relief. But I feel like we all go through it so that we can help others, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, makes us stronger. It's made us stronger women, that's for sure.
Agreed. I will tell you one good thing that came out of it, and then I'm totally done. But I will tell you, because if anybody thinks that something's going on to just them, it's likely not just you. I can tell you that, and I'm not trying to like toot my own horn or anything. That's not what I'm doing. But I can tell you that when all of this happened, and I said what had happened, I had 2 cousins that were younger. They were girls. They actually lived with my grandfather and my aunt and uncle and my grandmother for a period of time. And the one just turned 18. The other one's not even 18 yet. And so, I mean, we're talking like they were little kids. They were between like 2 and 6, I think. And because I said what happened to me, and because I got him thrown into prison, my uncle wrote me a letter. It's I'll never forget this. But he thanked me and said that because I did what I did, I prevented anything from happening to his daughters, because they took them in. They have like special prosecutors and special people that go in with kids, and they talk to them, and they have like it's almost like a little story time and a little game, and they get the kids to talk. And they found out that both of my cousins never had anything happen to them. So if I can only tell my story so that it doesn't happen to one other person again, that's really the only thing that I ever care about, you know?
Right.
That's awesome.
Right. One of the reasons I mentioned mine online is to make people aware that a lot of times when kids are sexually molested, it is by a family member, by people you would not expect to do something like that. And I just want to bring awareness to that. It's people that preachers, football coaches, family members, just people that you would never ever dream to do something like that.
Yeah, my grandfather was the church bus driver. So yeah.
Good Lord.
I think it's like awesome that, and like you were saying, what I think when people sit there and talk about stuff like that, just like what you said, it prevented possibly anything from happening to, I think I can't remember their cousins or your nieces or whatever, but your cousins, I think you said. And I mean, I just think that's amazing. I think it's so good that you did that. And I just think bringing it away, especially something like that, because so many times it's like, oh, people won't believe me. Or like you said, people will come out, and then the family, because people want to protect, they want things to lay dormant. They want things to be silent. They don't want to upset for whatever reason there is. They don't want to upset that. And so it's not believed. And I can't fathom have been brave enough to come forward and say, this is taking place. Because you know how when you're a kid, you look at adults and you're taught this as a child, you respect your elders. Most of your adults know, they know what's going on. You're the kid, you don't. And if you're being systematically abused by those adults in your life, and I mean, that it has to be such a confusing thing. So being brave enough to come forward and say, hey, this is going on, but then to have family members to be like, well, no, you're lying, or we're, you know what I mean? Whatever. I mean, it's just like another trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma.
For sure. I was lucky enough that my family believed me, but my cousin had been abused as well by the same man, and her family did not believe her. And even though I was the one that came forward and said this happened to me, and even though I was the one that went to court and did most of the stuff, her family still didn't believe her. And it took a few years, and they still don't have the best relationship. It kind of broke them because it was her dad's dad, just like it was my dad's dad. But the difference is my family wanted to support me. And honestly, like, my dad was ready to go after his dad the day he found out. My mom had to stop him. Like, no, you are not leaving this house. You are not driving an hour away. It is not happening. You are not going to jail. You're going to sit right here. And my dad is an amazing man. He would never do, he would never harm a fly unless it was his family. You know what I mean? Like, when it comes to that, and he was just being the papa bear. But I have seen the other side where they don't believe you, and it sucks. Like, I've always tried to be there for my cousin, and I feel that she kind of took a beaten path. We all have, but hers is just a little bit different, but I feel like maybe it would have been better if she had that support, and she didn't. So it sucks, but I don't know. I mean, you see all these different sides of it, and how you said you're taught to respect your elders, and you're taught to do what they say and listen to them, because they're supposed to know what's right. They're supposed to know right from wrong. And when someone they're like mind screwing you. They're like, yeah, well, guess what? I'm going to do right in front of your family, and I'm going to play face, and I'm going to look like I'm a good person. But then, behind closed doors or when nobody else is around, this is how I'm going to act. And nobody else knows anything different. So when you come and say your truth, nobody believes you. And it's crap. Yeah. And now
my ex-husband was like that. He was goody-goody in front of everybody until the door closed and nobody was around, and then he turned into a monster.
Yeah, and then it's hard for people because they know, oh, well, no one's going to believe them because they see me and they see us and we're fine, and it's unfortunate. I wonder if that's how the relationship between Fotis and Jennifer really was too. I mean, you kind of see all these screwed up things that he has done. It makes me wonder, like, this has been 2 years after the divorce proceedings were even filed. He wanted to go to somebody else. He was dating somebody else. So what if he's so obsessed with her that he can't let her go? It drives me insane when these people are like, well, I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to have another significant other, but by golly, you cannot. And if you do, that's just, it doesn't make any sense.
Probably he didn't want to pay her child support. Plus he's a control freak. He wanted control of the kids. And another thing, he probably wanted the kids maybe just to hurt her.
Oh, I'm sure. My ex-husband wanted my dog just to hurt me. He didn't like her at all. He wanted nothing to do with her at all. And he tried to fight me.
What an asshole.
Uh-huh.
I mean, literally.
I just saw on TV that this woman's ex-husband got their dog that she loved in their divorce, but she ended up reunited with the dog because it ended up, she's not reunited with the dog yet, but it ended up at a shelter. It was microchip, but it was an old number, so they couldn't get a hold of anybody. So someone adopted it, and she's wanting her dog back, but the people that adopted the dog are not responding.
Jeez, I hate that. Makes me hate people, man. Like, that makes me just realize why I love dogs so much.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? Like, side note, dog story. When I was like a little kid, we had God, what was it? It was we had Irish Setter and a Weimaraner, and Patrick was the Irish Setter, Kaiser was Weimaraner. So, anyways, so we got these dogs, and they were 2 males, and I mean, it was bad. I mean, they were just like, they never got past, you know what I'm saying? And so we basically had to say, look, we're gonna have one of them has to go. It was this very traumatic thing, and so my dad found this guy. He was like, you know what? This is a good home. We're gonna give. I think it was Kaiser. It was Kaiser. We're gonna give Kaiser to him, and that's just how it be. So the guy took Kaiser, and you know, I was a young kid, so of course this is, oh my gosh. So Kaiser, the guy lived like I think around 15 miles away. Kaiser ran away from his house and got within a mile of our home all the way back, and somebody picked him up, and this is like over a couple of days, and he was, you know, bruised and battered from the travel and stuff. And so my dad called the guy back, and he's like, I can't, we were gonna have to keep him and figure out something, like, you know what I'm saying? We're like, he ran all that way to get back to us, and it was just so interesting that he found his way all the way back. So we ended up just having, you know, 2 brothers that hated each other. for their dog.
What did you say the name of that dog is? A Weimaraner?
A Weimaraner.
Yes, I had one that came here and adopted me. He is from the family down the road. The dog totally divorced his family. He would break out of his little fence. You know those fences they got when they run out, it shocks them? I don't like those. He would run through that to get to my house. They actually went out of town to Las Vegas once and left that dog unattended, and I took care of him. But he wanted me to adopt him. Like, I loved that dog. When you looked at that dog, you could like see his soul. What a gentle soul. I've had him in the house sleeping. But the guy that owns this other mobile home over here, he actually adopted, his name is Knox. He adopted Knox, and now he's got the best life, and he comes and visits me quite often.
Oh, that's awesome.
All animals want me to adopt them, or they adopt me. I don't know why.
That was my cat. My cat decided, like, I'm just going to stay here from now on, and that was that. Now we have a cat.
I know. Look at me and the rooster. The rooster started coming here. Now I've got 7 chickens.
Oh, my gosh. I love it. Did you see my poem I wrote yesterday for your thing?
No. I've not seen it yet.
I'm awful at poems, but I was just trying to be funny.
I stole that idea from Diane. I didn't want to just put names in a jar to give a t-shirt away and pull one out. I was like, let's be creative. Diane had a good idea. So I was like, And plus, before I come up with that idea, I had got my hubby to write a poem for Sonny. I've not read it online yet, but I will in his next video. You were talking about
so
roosters and murder. Roosters and murder.
I know, right?
Roosters and murder talk.
Oh, have y'all thought about this? Okay. Fotis is wanting to see his gal pal. He needs to know what she's told us investigators. But I just think it's a little convenient when it was arranged for her to come pick up clothes that she says in front of Fotis's lawyer, oh, I love Mr. Dulos. Okay.
I mean, I just laugh every time. It's so awful and cheesy.
Like, you know, she did that on purpose so his lawyer would hear. But have y'all thought that she did that because she's going to set him up? She said, so he would want to see her. She knew his lawyers would go back and say, oh, your gal pal loves you, Foey.
Very possible. Yeah, I feel that they could play each other against each other. And it'll be interesting to see how it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, neither one of those people should be trusting each other because at the end of the day, it's going to be one for one and one for all in that situation. If they both had something to do with it. Now, the way the evidence publicly is being presented so far, it looks more like, you know, she could easily get in the path of, well, I was collateral damage or, you know what I'm saying? Like not 100% involved as he was. So, I mean, if she has any smarts, she will be jockeying herself to have nothing to do with him, number one.
Right.
Or B, like you said, she could be warming up to him to get. I just think the whole thing, I mean, like you said, where it's like, oh, she was overheard saying that she loved him and, you know, da-da-da-da-da. I mean, I don't even know if she said that. You know what I mean? I just feel like the lawyers probably made that up, you know, to get whatever taken place. You know, because again, if you think about it publicly, if they are allowed to get together again, then most people are gonna be like, well, surely they're not in trouble. The courts are allowing them to see each other and talk. And I mean, just like Kate was saying, where it's like they're just creating this public story for all of us to go along with and hoping that everything falls into place after that. But yeah, when I read that article, I mean, I laughed. I was just like, I can't even believe this. I was like, it's like they think the judge is completely stupid. And so that's why I'm very interested to see what this judge does with these things, because these little preliminary things that the judge could be one way or the other about is going to kind of tell me what direction this is going to go in. Because, you know, if the judge is sitting here, the type of person that thinks like, no, I'm not having this BS, something's going on here, he's going to deny these motions. You know, he's going to potentially revoke bail because he crossed state lines, things of this nature.
Yeah. Crap, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, with the gal pal. And she also said something like she felt bad for him because he was being accused of murder. One thing I don't buy about her story is she didn't ask him what he was dumping off when they stopped all those places.
I know.
I would have been like, what the F are you doing stopping all these damn trash cans? What the hell are you doing? I would have known he done something, you know?
Yeah.
Or she's just seriously that stupid. She's either making herself look really stupid, or she's making herself look really stupid. I mean, like, how do you?
She's not stupid. That woman's not stupid.
That's
what okay. So
happens.
A story like, okay, so the day that my husband proposed to me, we were going to look at a car lot. We went to some Chevrolet dealership or whatever. I was going to lease the vehicle. So I had no idea he was planning this stuff. I wasn't in the best of moods. It wasn't the greatest weather. It wasn't, you know, whatever. So we're driving down, and we start going down the highway, and then he pulls off the side, and he's, like, going off his exit. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing, you idiot? Keep going. Like, this is not where we're going, you know? And he's like, no, you know, we've got a flat tire. I'm going to pull off at our old work, and I'm going to check it out, which is, like, 2 miles off the highway. I'm like, we're going to a car dealership. Why would you – what? Whatever. So I'm like, you know, I'm like, you're an idiot. What are we doing? And I'm just like huffing and puffing and well, I met him at our old work. And so he takes us to the parking lot of our old work, and he gets out of the car, and he's like, let me check out this tire. And he goes to the passenger side, and he's like, here, come here. I need you to check out this tire for me. And I'm yelling at him. I'm like, what the hell? Are you stupid? You know, like freaking out. And he gets down on his knee, and he pulls out his ring, and I was like, are you joking me? You know, like I had no idea. But we went one place off of, you know, out of our way, and I'm like, what are you doing, you moron? You know what I mean? And she doesn't ask questions about 30.
Yeah, I don't believe that. And also, you know, they say she passed a polygraph. Have y'all saw anything where authorities say she passed one?
No.
Or is that just Norm Pattis saying it?
I don't know, and that's a good point, because one thing that I've gotten out of this conversation with the three of y'all is looking at how much I'm looking at the story that comes out, like the polygraph, where I just take it for face value of, oh, the police did this and it's okay. I mean, I was just like, wait a minute, I didn't even think about that it could have been like her own attorneys doing the polygraph type situation. I mean, I don't know for sure, but other things where I'm just like, I don't know, and I don't know anything about polygraphs. Some people say if you know how to pass them, you can manipulate them. I know that they're not in court. So I mean, to me, I'm just like, the polygraph's not really a good what do you call it, source of evidence or whatever.
I agree. One thing I do want to bring up in regards to that is, so I could be wrong, but I feel like when I heard that there's been so much to come out lately, but I feel like when her attorney came out and said that she had allegedly passed this polygraph or whatever, that he said something, and this may be very telling, or it could be me just reading too much into it. I feel like he said something along the lines of, she passed a polygraph that, like, the polygraph was specifically to find out if she had anything to do with the murder, or if she was an accomplice with the murder, not necessarily the crime or the aftermath, not necessarily the hiding of the evidence or the disposing of the evidence. That's the way that I looked into it and the way that I read it. And I almost wonder if he's trying, the attorney, if I'm, looking into it correctly, and she really was only asked questions about if she murdered Jennifer or if she had any involvement, because she could still pass that, even if she took all of the evidence and disposed of the evidence. It's about the questions that you ask, and you have to ask the right questions. So I'm wondering if either the attorney's putting it out there so that it looks like she didn't have anything to do with it, and he's hoping that people like you and I will read into it a little less, and we'll think, oh, she passed the polygraph, she's good. But really, he was very telling in what he said was passed about that polygraph. Those are my thoughts. I don't know exactly how far it goes, but I think that I think she either took 2, maybe, and she passed 1, and we're not hearing about the other, or maybe she passed part of it, or maybe they only asked her if she had something to do with the murder. I'm not sure, but something's not right about that whole statement that was put out, in my opinion.
I know. I bet Paul is right. I bet her lawyers gave her 1.
Very possible, but I feel, I could have sworn that the way that they said it was that she was given, but it could have been her attorney that gave it. It could have been the other that gave it. Her attorney, if they were really into her and they wanted to control the questions and they wanted to control the answers and the results, they very well could have done just that. But it's not admissible in court. So again, all they're really doing, if that's the case, and if they did that, is making the public believe something that might not be true. And ultimately, who are we? There's, either going to be a judge who's going to decide things if they decide to go against a judge, or there's going to be a panel of 12, a jury that's going to decide things, and we're not going to be on that. So I don't know.
The way they stated it, they didn't say authorities gave it to her. They just said she took a polygraph. They didn't say who gave it to her.
Yeah, I thought that it was read something like it, a polygraph was given to her, and it wasn't specific. So it does allude. You can take many different things from that. It's like a very open-ended statement. Okay, so where was the polygraph? What was she asked? Who was it given by? And how is this going to help or, nail them to the cross, I guess?
Supposedly what she was asked was, did she know that POTUS was disposing of evidence when they were stopping at all those 30 different places? Norm Pattis has also said that they didn't, it wasn't like 30 different trash cans, he's saying, that they disposed of stuff in. It was only like a couple. He said, basically, they could have made 30 stops, but it wasn't at 30 different trash cans. It was only at a couple. That's not what the news reports.
I don't know about you, but I'm not making 30 stops to do a damn thing. Like, you couldn't pay me enough money to stop at 30 different places.
Why don't you just burn the crap? I mean,
yeah, exactly. His paper tag.
Why didn't you tag that?
I didn't even know it was paper tags. I thought it was metal ones.
No, they were paper tags. Dude, you could have soaked those in a bucket and nobody would have ever known. Are you kidding me right now?
I didn't do that either. See, I thought they were metal. Yeah. I thought they were metal.
I'm pretty sure they were paper temporary tags.
Oh my goodness. Weren't they expired or something?
Yeah, that's why I'm pretty sure that they were the temp tags, because they said that they were expired, and I think like part of the excuse was, well, we had gotten other tags or something. Well, no kidding, you have to do that. But yeah, paper tags. Like, what a joke. See, these criminals are stupid.
Yeah. I mean, they just don't think. I mean, you would just think that. I mean, some of them, the things that they do, I'm just like, and I mean, I say, what are they thinking? But they're not thinking, because I'm just like, really? I mean, I didn't even know. Like, why would you put? And wasn't it in a mailing envelope or something like that the things were in? Well, remember, this is completely side note here. Remember, and I just did a thing on her. What's the young girl who killed her mother? They just did a Hulu show on it.
Gypsy.
Remember how her and her boyfriend mailed the murder weapon back to his mother? And I was just like,
yeah, I can't.
Now granted, these are kids, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just like, what? Like, why would that even be a thing that you would think to do?
Y'all hold the fort down. I got to take a break. I cannot hold it any longer. I'm going to mute.
Okay, you're good. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's where when I start going down the whole rabbit hole of it, I mean, so much of it doesn't make sense at all. And so that's where I just get, you know, I just hit a wall with it. And, you know, I tried to go down a Reddit dive before I came on here, and there's not a ton of stuff unless I didn't do a proper search on Reddit, because I love going in the comment section and reading, like, you know, down the Reddit rabbit hole, I call it.
Have you checked out Web Sleuth?
No. Oh my God. Let me write
You
this
need
down.
to check out Web Sleuth. You actually have to be verified to post information on Web Sleuth, I think. It's a more, Reddit's pretty accurate, but it is a more intensified Reddit, is my understanding.
Oh my God. You just changed my life. Thank you. I just love that. You're not going to see me. You're going to be like, I guess Paul took his channel down. No, he's been on Reddit for literally 30 days straight.
I love Web Sleuth. It's amazing. It's addicting, that's for sure.
Oh my God. Yeah, because I'll sit here. When I first discovered Reddit, I don't know, like a few years ago or whatever, I mean, just anything that I want to be like, what's the public temperature on this situation? You know, let's go to the cesspool of the Reddit comments and see what everybody's saying. And so, yeah, if it could be actually verified, then even better. Because that's the thing with the Reddit. I feel like a lot of it's like, I go into it with like, this could be totally a story, but I just want to be told a story. You know what I'm saying? So.
I agree. Well, you could become like a verified, I don't know if you have to be completely verified to post anything, but you can become verified based on your experience, whether you are somebody that is associated with the case. So maybe it was, you know, somebody in Jennifer Dulos' family, or a friend, or it could be somebody, you know, maybe an ex-attorney or something like that, or it could be somebody who was a private investigator that worked on the case. That you actually have to, there's a verification process that you have to submit your proof to their panel or whatever, and they don't consider you as verified until they have actually verified you. And then once you're verified, then basically your word is better than just the average comment on Reddit or whatever. You know, you have some sort of association with the case, or some sort of knowledge, whether you're, you know, a defense attorney and you just want to comment on things with your, you know, knowledge or whatever and experience, or if you actually are associated with the case. So it's really cool.
Now, I'm trying to pull them up right now, and every time I do, it says the site can't be reached. I mean, I see it in Google, but have you been, I mean, like, is it still a thing or whatever? And maybe they're just their IPs down or something?
Yeah, it's on there.
You have to register for it, sign up, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to see.
I never used Reddit.
Or maybe it's my computer.
I have never used Reddit. Maybe once.
I use Reddit kind of like what the Reddit has require for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I used to read Reddit a little bit over the 90 Day Fiance stuff.
Oh wait, what? Now say it again about that. I haven't seen that one. Tell me what you know, because I love that stuff. What were you gonna say?
The 90 Day Fiance?
Yeah, I haven't watched that one. I'm into Southern Charm.
Southern Charm. I haven't watched that, I don't think. Does it come on TLC?
It's a Bravo show.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. I've never got into that. I love 90 Day Fiance and Little Women LA, Little Women Atlanta. That comes on Lifetime.
Have you ever watched Love After Lockup?
I used to. I used to watch it. I haven't in a long time. Is it good?
I fell down that rabbit hole. Oh my God. Yeah, that one. I got sucked into it.
Oh, you're going to laugh if I tell you what I've watched. Mama June, From Not to Hot. I love it. I love that show.
I do too. Matt and I found that one. It was like, because it was one of those situations where I didn't watch it when she was originally out or whatever. But then it was one of those things where I'm like, well, let's see what this is about. And like 8 hours later, you come up for air and you're just like, oh my God, what have we been doing? Yeah. I just, yeah. The success rate on Love After Lockup, it follows several different couples, and so there's a few, I'd say 3 or 4 that have actually stayed together and get in their own spinoffs and stuff like that. But I mean, and I follow them on social media too. You know, when you start following some of these people, because that's not like a major famous show, but it's also, you know, it's out there enough. But you can kind of tell how manufactured parts of it are for TV and whatnot. So, but yeah, the Bravo stuff too. Alex, is your comment on that? Southern Charm, I love that. I haven't watched this season yet, and I feel like just because it's part of it's because it's Southern, and you know, I mean that crowd kind of rolls with like, you know, high roller type people or whatever. But because it's Charleston, and I'm like, oh, I've been there, and that's kind of near me, and you know what I mean. I just liked it for that reason. So, yeah. But of course, it's drama.
Oh yeah, I watched it a little bit when it first came out, but I haven't in a long time.
Catherine Dennis, the redhead on there, if you remember her, she had like kind of a bad storyline in the beginning, like, or whatever. She kind of has like a really good redemption story, and now especially with her, I can't think of his name, Thomas Ravenel, what she's going through with the divorce and the custody case. I mean, you want to talk about like narcissistic and stuff like that. I mean, you know, it's just insane. And but she just really turned her life around, and I love that, you know, and especially because she was being so what I consider to be suppressed, oppressed, whatever, by this man in her life. And now the truth is coming out. You know what I mean? All these lies he told on her, all that type of stuff. So I just like totally bought into that hook, line, and sinker. Don't know if it's real or what, but that was like so fun. So
I'm totally hooked on 90 Day Fiance. I watched the 90 Day Fiance before the 90 days, and what's the other one for 90 Day Fiance, Happily Ever After, and then 90 Day Fiance, the new one, it's called The Other Way, where Americans go to a different country to get married. I guess they just have 90 days in different countries to get married too. But it's a really good show. It's really sad that a lot of these older women don't know that these guys, these younger guys, are using them. And then they go to other countries and they don't want to embrace the culture. They want to just stay their American way. You know, like this one lady, she's in India. And her man, you know, he's from India. He takes her to a shop to get her some proper Indian attire, you know, like they wear up there. And she doesn't like it. They just kill me. They go to these different countries and they're so rude. They won't even try the dish. You know, every country and every place has their famous food, and they're so rude they won't even try it. Like this one guy, I think he went to Thailand. I think it was Thailand. But anyways, they were roasting a pig, but the way they do it, they put it in the ground, fix it up some way, cover it up with leaves. But he was so rude. He wouldn't even try like one bite of it. It was so rude.
I'll have to watch some of that because, like I said, I know I know the show you're talking about, but I just haven't seen it. I have an issue with when I finally will sit down and someone just commented that they haven't watched TV since they got YouTube, and I'm kind of like that too. I'm just like, I spent so much time doing YouTube stuff. I'm like, I don't watch TV anymore. But when I watch like episode 1 of something, I mean, I'll just go into a binge until I'm done with it. God forbid it has 10 seasons to it. You know, that you won't see me for a while. So,
yeah. Alex says you need to check out MTV Siesta Key, and that is a great show. I love that show. It's not been on but a couple seasons.
I've heard of that.
Alex, I can't stand Juliet on there.
You know, another one that I went down the rabbit hole, y'all are gonna all be like, oh my God, is he even, I can't believe he's saying this. And this was like a year and a half ago. I was like, you know what? I never checked out Jersey Shore. Let me just see what this is about. Not the new one, but the old ones that came out. I ripped through that, and I don't even know how many seasons there were. And I was so taken into it. I was just like, this is the most bizarre thing. Because I can remember when it was a thing, and I was like, I'm not going to watch that garbage and or whatever. And I mean, I sat there. I think it took me a good week or so to get through the whole thing. And then I watched the new ones that came out, and I was like, okay, this is interesting, you know. Yeah. But
oh my gosh, I have to say that Snooki used to on there, and some of the other girls used to gross me out.
Yeah.
I mean, and everybody on there, I mean, all they did was have sex with strangers. I mean,
Yeah,
basically, you could see these people having sex, except they got covers over them and stuff. I mean, the girls just used to gross me out. They'd be hooking up with the guy, and the next morning get straight up out of bed. And I don't know. Go out, look like they're a hot mess, look like they've been rode hard and put up with wet.
and they have.
I shouldn't have said that. It's true.
It's definitely true.
But it's
and
good.
yeah,
It's good. I watched the new one too.
well, the new one's interesting because some of it, okay, so like if you look at like Snooki in them, I mean, you could tell that, in my opinion, some of them are just there like to get the money. Like they're no longer into partying. I mean, these people have kids and stuff like that. But then, like, say, look at Ronnie, where he's in this really bad relationship, kind of doing the same thing he was doing way back when. I mean, it's just interesting to see how they changed over the years. And yeah, that Pauly D or whatever his name is. I mean, he's like a real famous DJ. I mean, he's still super. You know, he's super rich and doing all this stuff. And
yeah, he owns Lamborghinis. He owns Lamborghinis, I think.
Oh,
lots of cars.
Okay, so two things. One, I used to watch the crap out of that show. It used to be like my favorite when it was still new and stuff, and it's ridiculous. And two, I can't pull up Web Sleuth on my phone, but I can pull it up on my tablet. So I don't know what's going on with that, but check that out.
Something must be. I appreciate you looking. I'm going to keep it on my screen. They must have something going on right now.
Yeah, I even tried. I have a VPN, and it said that I couldn't get on with my VPN, so I took my VPN off, and it still wouldn't let me on. So then I got on my tablet, and it'll let me on my tablet. It still won't let me on my phone.
So Web Sleuths is so locked down that we can't even get to that website. You got to get clearance from the White House.
Exactly. You have to have your IP address cleared before you can even access the site.
Yeah, like, they don't play. They do not play. That's funny, but I'm just gonna leave it on my screen and try later. So, and y'all probably will see a video out about that later and be like, has anyone out there? See, this is my whole thing. I find things like a decade after they're old. And so, in fact, let's test my theory here. When did Web Sleuths come out? Oh my God. May
1999.
It's 2019. Like, what's this Web Sleuths thing she's talking about?
Is this new?
I mean, yeah, is this new? Did it come out last week? They must not have the IP address up yet. I mean, this is what I do. I find things like 20 years later, and then I'm like, just like the Jersey Shore. I mean, I just now in the last couple of years wanted to start a conversation on the Jersey Shore. Well, you know, when you post that, people are like, "Where have you been?" Like we talked about that 20 years ago. We're done.
That's so funny.
You know, so that's my MO. I find things a little bit late, but whatever.
Me too, Paul. Me too. I just felt Web Sleuths a couple of months ago, and to be honest, I never even get on there. Hardly ever.
I want to get on now because this is one thing that I like about Reddit, but I never really use this information because you just don't know if it's true. But like a lot of times, if you go on Reddit, like I love doing this, and I'm just gonna make something up. I'll go people who have met Catherine Dennis Reddit. And like see people who post their stories of, oh yeah, I ran into them, and you never know if it's real or not. But if you can do something like that on Web Sleuth, where it's like, well, I'm the neighbor of Photos Dulos, and this is what he does during the day. It's just kind of interesting to me. You know what I'm saying? Like it can add context. So if there's a way to verify it, even better.
Yes, they verify it. And you can tell there's like something that says that they're verified when they go to like post or whatever. So you know if it's actually a verified person or not. And there's different ways that you can be verified. There's a professional verification, and then there's like it's like an associate verification. It's somebody that like is associated to the person, family, friend, neighbor, whatever. Or you have the professional, whatever, but you can be verified on either way. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't get on here very often either because I forget about it, but I need to start getting on here more.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I need to check out Reddit, to be honest.
I like doing Reddit, not me doing them, but reading people's Reddits ask me things because allegedly they confirm those somehow. I have no idea how, but it's just interesting to see, like, I do this, ask me anything or whatever. Those are always pretty interesting. But again, I'm just like, well, how do we know what's their way of verifying something? I mean, I don't know. So, hold on. I'm going to have to get ready to go because I've got to go start my day with a little bit of weed eating and grass cutting.
Oh, great. Have fun. I know. That's hard work.
I'm very excited about it. I've been putting it off. I'm like, oh, I can't do it early in the morning because I'm going to do it live. Yeah. And so now I'm like, well, I don't have any other excuses. I have to do it.
Well, let me just tell you. What I look like right now and what I'm wearing, and I just woke up, I look like I'm about to go weed eat and grass cut, and you look like you're about to go out to a 5-star dinner. So let's just talk about that for a second.
So this is what Cece and I were talking about this last time. She was like, "Oh, Paul, you dress so nice." So I just look. This shirt's not even buttoned all the way, and I have a t-shirt that I've worn to the gym last night on under this.
Is
gym
that flamingos?
Yeah, it's flamingos.
Oh, I love flamingos.
You got your
I'm a flamingo fan. This has flamingos on it, but you can't see it because of the lights. But it says, "Be a flamingo in a flock of pigeons."
Wait, what does it say? Oh, I love that. That's awesome. So
Family Dollar, $3.
We've got to love him. You know what's interesting here, being we live on the coast now in North Carolina. They have Dollar General. Yeah, let me see. Oh, that's awesome. I love that. They have Dollar General is like really, really big here. Do y'all have that where y'all are at?
Oh, yes, yes. I have Dollar General in the next town. We have Family Dollar here. But I love Dollar General. Dollar General got a good selection of makeup, too. Drugstore makeup. Like
I like Dollar Tree. I like to go in there and know if I pick this, it's $1. If I pick this, it's $1. If I pick this, it's $1. That's why I like Dollar Tree.
Yeah, and they got some good cleaning supplies in there, too.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Cleaning supplies, you cannot beat those cleaning supplies.
I like going to their party supplies, too. Like, they've got all kinds of stuff for...
oh, I need to do that. Oh, yeah, okay.
My husband just got me some little dishcloths to wash dishes in. They got roosters on them. They're pretty cool.
Oh,
is that where you got them?
Dollar Tree got 2 of them for $1.
That's awesome. I love those. See, even sometimes, and then if there is a question of what's the price, it's because it's lower than $1 because you can get like 2 for $1. I like that. Yeah. Except I always go up there and I'm like, oh, this will be like $15, and they're like 47. I'm like, what? What did I just do?
I know. I gotta stay out of there. I spend too much money in there.
We went to one, I can't remember where we were at. It must have been Dollar Tree. And like there's like I'll buy, like if I go in there and I do the whole thing of like, well, it's only this, we need to get this. But if it was, more money, I want to get it or whatever. Like I feel like I can't leave it in the store type situation. But then it's like if something's like $4, $1 or is it Dollar Tree that I was just talking about?
Yeah,
if it's
Dollar
like
Tree.
I'm like, that's too expensive. Like why? I don't know. It's just crazy. But that chain is like super popular down here. And I mean, I'm not lying. There's this one stretch where you'll hit one, a mile down the road, there's another one, mile down the road, there's another one. And I'm like, how is there such a market for this chain here? Like, what is going on? I mean, it's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. They just haven't.
Yeah, it's like that down in Kingsport, Tennessee. There's like a Dollar Tree like every few miles, it seems like.
Yeah.
There used to even be like a huge one inside of the mall. Yeah, it's
really?
very popular. Yeah.
I just think, I don't know. It's like, I mean, here, I think people rely on them more here. Pardon me. Probably more foot traffic, maybe. I don't know. Cause that's the only thing I can come up with. Because a lot of times what we notice here is there will be an RV park and a Dollar Tree across the street on the other side. And so I'm like, well, maybe they're doing that because of foot traffic or whatever. I don't know, but it's very bizarre to me. But I mean, I don't have a problem with it. It makes it very convenient.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we went the other day and I don't know what we ended up. I mean, just buying, honestly, it got down to the point where we were just buying dumb stuff. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, charcoal soap. Let me get one of these. I've never had one, just whatever. So I don't even know how I got on that subject, but anyway.
Oh, it's okay. It's all good. I'm always digressing.
Somebody in I was saying that the other day, and I don't know who it was, and I loved them not the other day, about a month ago, and they emailed me or something like after the fact. I got a comment, and they were basically like, because of my accent, because I'll say like, okay, well, I digress, and they're like, what is digress? Like digress? And I was like, I never thought about it. That's exactly how it sounds like whenever I say it. And so now I say that I'm like, well, I digress. And I just absolutely love it. I'm just like, I forget, like if somebody overseas hears me talk, they must be like, what is he saying? What's he even talking about?
I was listening to myself the other day say a subscriber's name, and his name is Verbal Constipation, but it sounds like I'm saying purple constipation.
That's hilarious.
I love it. I love it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank y'all for having me. I'm so excited we all three got to hang out. This is a blast. We have to do this again. I love talking with y'all.
Yeah, we need to do this once a week or something, or once every 2 weeks, something.
It's a lot.
Thank you so much. You're so smart, and you make a lot of good points.
I appreciate it. So do y'all. I mean, y'all really got me thinking. Now I can like have a different mindset or lens or whatever you're gonna call it to look at this stuff through. So now I'm gonna be like,
Well, I just want to say something before you leave. I'm kind of like you. Sometimes when I read stuff, I'll be like, well, yeah, that's the way it is without thinking, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like with the polygraph, at first I assumed that the gave it to her, but then I got to thinking like, well, they didn't say that. They didn't say authorities gave it to her. They just said she took a polygraph. But anyways, I just wanted to throw that in. I do the same.
I appreciate it. I do the same thing, and it's that's why it's I'm so glad that we all got together and did this.
Yeah, me too.
Agreed.
So we will plan it up again.
Okay, well, don't work too hard. Thank you so much.
Don't worry, I won't.
Have a good day, everyone.
Please
Bye.
hold, please hold, please hold.
Are you getting off too, Katie?
Yeah, I'm going to go and do something with the little one. He's getting wound up now. He's waking up. He's ready to go do something. So we're going to go keep occupied, I guess.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for coming on and message me. I'm going to get off here. Too, guys, thank you all for chatting. I'm going to go back through the chat and see what everybody said, because I love reading everybody else's thoughts and opinions. That's why I always say that in my videos. I do leave me your thoughts and opinions, because you guys say stuff that I've not thought about, before, and it gets me thinking. But anyways, love y'all. Thanks again. Be kind. Peace. I'm going to check on my Sunny Rooster. Bye, Katie. Thanks for coming on, girl.
See ya. Bye, everyone.